This is one of the unique benefits of being a homeschooler. You have the option to travel with them outside of normal term time and holiday restrictions. In fact, some of the most exclusive private schools operate on a similar model. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Marina, the founder of Scholastica Islamica, where education meets ihsan. If you've been following along, you'll know that I share content about Islam and education, and especially homeschooling. I'm excited to share that in upcoming videos we're going to be sharing more detail about the nuts and bolts of homeschooling, really getting into the specific book reviews, tips and tricks, speaking to seasoned homeschoolers about what has worked for them and advice they can share. But today I want to dive into a topic which is fascinating and relates to something that I've undertaken with my family recently, which is the idea of globeschooling. Globeschooling, sometimes also referred to as world schooling, is the idea of taking education on the road. It's traveling with your children and learning and educating them as they explore the world with you. This is one of the unique benefits of being a homeschooler, which is that you have some flexibility. Your children are not enrolled in full-time education, and so you have the option to travel with them outside of normal term time and holiday restrictions. And now with the advent of the internet, it's really the case that you can learn anywhere. In fact, some of the most exclusive private schools operate on a similar model. For example, Think Global School is a private school in which students pay a very large fee, and the model of the school is that children are taken to different places in the world and they have an incredibly rich learning experience by being immersed in a particular culture and a particular location. Some families embrace globeschooling full-time, taking a year or more to travel, renting out their homes, and really exploring the world and educating their children on the road. My family recently took a slightly less radical approach by taking a 1-month excursion to Cairo, Egypt, which I've mentioned in a previous video. We have our normal base in Cambridge in the UK, which is where we live. We're part of a community and we do the bulk of our homeschooling, but we endeavour to spend a chunk of time, sometimes a month or more, travelling in a different location abroad where we can take part in language acquisition and cultural immersion and really get our children to learn through experiencing the world itself. You could see it in a way as a sort of extended holiday, but rather than aiming for rest and relaxation as you would normally do, we see these as an educational study trip, but we have particular objectives that we set ourselves for achieving educationally during the course of that trip. So in this October just gone, my husband and I took our children to Cairo, Egypt for 1 month of Arabic language and cultural immersion, as well as studying the Qur'an in specific centres there. It was an absolutely unforgettable experience for us, and one that we hope to, inshallah, repeat in coming years. The children and the adults were enrolled in specific Arabic and Qur'an classes several times a week. We also immersed ourselves in the local culture by mingling with the locals, shopping at the supermarkets, and enjoying simple activities like grabbing juice from the local juice shop. Of course, we also did some more of the traditional touristy activities, such as visiting the pyramids of Giza and some of Cairo's fascinating museums. This combination of structured learning and real-world experiences was incredibly enriching for us, for the children as well as for the parents. My husband and I also saw this as an opportunity to introduce our children to this idea of talab al-ilm, i.e. of seeking knowledge, and that's something that I want to speak more about at length in a future video, inshallah. So if the idea of globeschooling excites you, here are a few tips to get started. Number 1, start small. Begin with a short trip or holiday purely for educational purposes. You don't need to take an extended year off right away. Even a long weekend trip to a historical site or a cultural destination could be a great starting point. 2, prepare and plan before, during, and after. You want to incorporate education into every stage of the trip. Before you begin, it's good to prepare to learn and discuss with the children about your destination. Research the history, the language, and the culture of the places that you're going to be visiting. You can add this into your homeschool routine in the months prior to your trip. During the trip, try to curate an itinerary of rich educational activities so that you are going to your destination with a specific set of educational goals in mind. And after you return from your trip, you can reinforce that learning and ensure that your children are really maximizing the benefit from this experience by, for example, carrying out some unit studies or writing essays or doing project work about their experiences. Number 3, plan well in advance. Extended educational trips, more than a fortnight holiday, for example, often require a lot more planning to be able to execute. For example, it may require you taking an extended period of leave from work, from any voluntary commitments you have, or even some regular extracurricular activities that you or your children might be enrolled in. If you start planning early enough, you can ensure that there is a smooth transition to your travels. Number 4, seek advice. Reach out to families who've globe-trotted before you. Their tips, recommendations, and contacts can make the process a lot smoother for you. Having someone who knows the ropes can reduce stress and helps you to avoid the common pitfalls. And finally, be patient. Sometimes the idea of globe schooling is exciting, but it's just not feasible right away. It took my family between 4 and 5 years from these ideas initially coming to our hearts to finally being able to action them. It was just not possible due to pregnancies, the demands of young children and work commitments. And so it's important to be realistic and wait for the right moment to make this dream a reality. Globe schooling isn't just about traveling. It's about learning, it's about growing and creating memories as a family. Whether you take a short trip or a year-long adventure, the world really can be your classroom. I hope you enjoyed this video. Inshallah, in future videos, we're going to be touching a lot more on different homeschooling styles, tips for beginners, recommended resources, book reviews, the works. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you enjoyed, please do give us a thumbs up and send this video to your family and friends. Jazakumullah khair for watching, and inshallah, I'll see you in the next video.